Emptiness is the worst. I have trouble dealing with that kind of sensation. Nothing really bothers me but emptiness. For most, emptiness describes an emotional state and a physical state. So either feeling dead inside or feeling hungry or exhausted. To me, it's always been the same thing. All of it. But I only started feeling emptiness when I started to feel fulfillment. It was my first memory, but it's late for a first memory. I was 8 years old, y mi abuela me llevó a la playa. Mi abuela took me to a seafood place by the coast of St. Mary, Louisiana, where I grew up. It's gone now, but it's one of those places that let you pick out a lobster to boil from the tank. When I was asked by the chef, a prototypical portly man in a white buttoned-up double-breasted jacket and a toque blanche chef hat. When he asked what lobster I wanted, a sort of fuse kicked off in my consciousness. I remembered watching as the lobsters do what sea life might consider scurrying, meandering around in the grazy, hazy water, noting how they could hardly find personal space flanked on all sides by their equally damned brethren. Did they notice how confining the tank was? Did they know they would die and be consumed? Did they feel pain? Maybe not pain as we know it, but they do suffer. And knowing that lobsters would suffer from my lunch aroused me. It aroused a feeling of want. I wanted to experience more of others' suffering. I didn't have the words for it yet, but after tasting freshly boiled lobster meat, I thought about lobster boiling like half the time for months. Literally, it's all I'd talk about. I'd constantly asked to go back to the restaurant, but it was pricey. When we did go back, I took my time picking out the most depressed-looking lobster, the one resigned to being buried under the others, the one that looked most despondent. I'd chat to the chef when picking out the lobster. He must have liked my enthusiasm because he allowed me to watch the lobsters drop in. It required a stepladder. The first lobster I had outside of the restaurant was awful. I could tell they killed it before boiling it, and it showed. But then came the spiders. I'd catch spiders in a Dixie cup and stab them with toothpicks. First in the abdomen and past the bottom of the cup to hold it still. Then I'd just wait. I'd count the number of eyes, the number of legs. It varies, you know. The first real wound would be cutting at the spinnerets, preventing the spider from making webs, to deny the spider its spiderhood. Only then I would start chopsticking its legs off, joint by joint if I was delicate enough. Then I'd poke at the rows of eyes, but by that point, I was usually already feeling empty again. I never felt completely full either. As I looked into how pain works for invertebrates, it killed the arousal I felt. It numbed the feeling in my stomach as I tortured insects. So I went hungry for years. Secretly, I'd buy guinea pigs and occasionally hedgehogs to torture. But not enough to make the emptiness go away. Plus it was always noisy, and it made me feel gross afterwards. I joined the US Army and I had an okay enough career to move on into the CIA. I could torture people. Not often, and I couldn't show how happy I was, but it was needy enough to be satisfying. And it was torture, not enhanced interrogation. I wouldn't have enjoyed it otherwise. But I've still never killed a human. I've never taken a human slowly to the brink of death and then let them slip. Too messy. Too hard to pull off without getting caught. And also, I don't want to snuff out another human life. Why, I'm not sure. I think the gross feeling I get near the end of the torture session wouldn't be awful when it's a human I'm finishing up. But taking long car rides to beat up homeless people in random cities and slow boiling $200 worth of lobster every week isn't enough anymore. As I write this, I'm feeling more fulfilled than I have in years. I'll feel empty again, but not after this.